you're anti-trans.
What do I have next? I have why YouTubers are pushing sick ideologies. I was interested by this because this is literally what I do. I talk about YouTubers. So yeah, Keira Bell. Keira Bell is a detransitioner, quite famous in the UK because she sued the NHS, sued the Tavistock Clinic. Often blamed for what's happened with like puberty blockers. They're not really available these days. But yeah, let's see what our perspective is on trans YouTubers.
And you wished you hadn't done the mastectomy. And you wished you hadn't done the mastectomy.
Well, I try not to harp too much on things now.
God, her voice is like lower than mine. It's crazy.
If you asked me that like maybe a couple years ago, I might have said, yeah, like I regret all of this deeply. But I try to look forward now and say, hey, it's happened, just as everything else in my life has happened, and I just try to deal with it, you know.
All right, Sam, why do you have so many retracted messages on YouTube? What are you doing?
How things are now, but I feel like I'm, you know, getting to a better place in my mind. So I don't try to harp too much on what happened and regret and that sort of thing.
With regards to the binding and stuff, had you been watching films like Boys Don't Cry? Did you ever see that, Hilary Swank?
I think I saw that after I'd already, because I met one person who was going through it at the same time as me. And they showed me that film, but I was never into that sort of thing. I think all the content that I got was mostly from YouTube.
Right.
I wasn't really on any other social media platforms.
Reasons why I'm doing this.
Or I liked reading internet forums at the time and stuff like that. So that was where I got most of the content from. Yeah.
Because I remember watching that film. I was really young. I must have been like 13 or something. And I just thought it was beautiful.
You're worried you're cluttering a chat that isn't even coming up for me. Fair enough.
But, and what a sad thing for this person. And I think it was based on a real person. And it is very sad what happened to them.
Absolutely.
But I now look at it, and given the way we've moved as a society, and I feel like, oh gosh, that kind of thing is sort of brainwashing teenagers. And you mentioned YouTube as well. Are there a lot of influencers out there who are maybe inadvertently or deliberately brainwashing teenagers?
Yes, very much so. Jesus fucking Christ, yes.
I would say so, yeah.
There we go. See? Great minds.
I definitely believe so. I mean, at the time when I was on YouTube, it was a bit different. Things weren't monetized. Sorry, not when I was on it, but when I was, watching it at the time.
Wasn't there monetization since like 2006 or something? I seem to remember all like the partnership program and stuff. I'm sure that's not correct. Hang on. Sorry, I'm debate burring Keira Bell now, I guess. I'm sure it was like... I'm sure it was like going since like 2008 or something. I could be wrong. I don't know. Anyway.
Things weren't monetized, and so there was no incentive to like, I don't know, I guess, exaggerate on things.
I don't agree that there was no incentive because it wasn't monetized. I don't know that it even wasn't monetized, but the truth is there's loads of reasons. If you have a certain ideology, if your friend group has a certain ideology, you've already got a reason to push that ideology.
And make money. So it's a bit different at that time. But yeah, now I definitely think it's probably since like 2015 sort of time. That might have been a time things became monetized. But since then, it's just completely exploded, and people are kind of it's a thing to strive for now, being a trans influencer and that sort of thing. So it's
yeah, because when I was a teenager, I used to watch a lot of Dax Flame. And he had one video coming out with his own version of the YouTube Partner Program, because I don't think he was eligible for it at the time. And it was like a complete scam, like what he was suggesting, having to apologize for it and stuff. But like the whole thing is like some kind of weird satire. So if a trans woman or a subset of men, suppose you define man in a biologist's way, but would you say gender-wise trans women are women? Truthfully, I used to know what gender meant, and then people made it as confusing as humanly possible. I guess you could say that I'm a male in sex and a female in gender, if that's what you want, depending on your view of gender. Really, I don't know. I just don't think about it much. I was born male. I'm a male person who wears things that are more typically associated with females. I've had certain things done, but I'll never actually be female, you know? Like, you don't change your sex, in my opinion. So, that's why I'd say, like, trans woman or male. I tend to use man and woman as more like social roles, I guess, and then male and female to me are the sex terms.
Yeah, I think it's quite sick personally, but I guess they see it as, oh, I'm just sharing my story, and you know, this is beautiful, and people need to hear it. And
I think plenty of people I've watched probably started off that way. Someone like Jammy Dodger, for example. Like, nowadays he's just a propaganda outlet, but I'm sure his channel was like documenting his transition and stuff like that. So yeah, probably some of these did change a fair amount, and I would go back and watch some stuff, but I don't know how much I want to watch someone's transition from like years ago, I guess. Maybe it'll help in some ways, who knows.
I don't want another person to go through what I went through when I was younger, and that sort of thing. But it's yeah, I don't agree with it.
That's really interesting because I often think there's nothing that can incentivize people to do things as much as ideology, right? So there were these trans influencers you were watching before, even when it wasn't monetized. But you think that nowadays, since it's been monetized, some of these people are doing it, they're influenced by the money, and they're going.
Yeah, I think that I'm agreeing more with Andrew Gold here. I think money is certainly a powerful motivator, but it's certainly not the only one.
In and getting other kids to change.
Absolutely, yeah.
Am I too busy being a human? Yes, definitely. Absolutely. Yep, I'm not muted. A male woman. You can call me what you want, quite honestly. I mean, I use trans woman, not male woman, because that makes a bit more sense. I try and use terms like trans woman because people get offended. But then they get offended whatever I say, so I don't know if I should even care about that. I've tried caring about people's genders. I've tried not caring about people's genders and pronouncing them however I want. And either way, it's a problem, so I don't know.
I think so. Wow. I don't know if it's so clear cut as that, but definitely, you know, subconsciously people are wanting to make money from this. And how do you make money from it? Well, I guess you.
Yeah, I think he's probably seeing it in a bit more of a. He's not seeing as much nuance, maybe. I mean, there's lots of reasons you might do something like this, I guess. I don't think money is a motivator for trans people recruiting kids into transgenderism, if that's what they mean. Well, I mean, if the person's making money from making content that is the end goal, I don't see why it wouldn't be a motivator. I think it can be a very powerful one. And I think plenty of trans people have like comorbidities and stuff. That means that they honestly struggle like making money any other way. Like, which to an extent is an issue I have as well. Like, quite a few of us, like, if we can find some way of making money without having to have a normal job, like, would probably jump at it. So, to me, like, I don't know. I don't think it's the only motivator, but I would never say it's not much of a motivator. I think, of course, it is. Have I watched the Swedish docu-series, The Trans Train? Okay, I haven't watched that yet. I should. Identity is not state to me. I don't get it. I never spent time on growing, defining, and making mine, but I guess I did. Well, I mean, most people just live their lives, and their identity is whatever it is. We didn't used to make all this shit up to make ourselves feel better and cope with the fact that we're born a certain way that we don't want to be.
You bring people in and broaden the community as they'd see it. So,
because people will be watching this who've got their own kids and who obviously have YouTube, and I mean, it's so difficult being a parent. I can imagine now what's out there online in every space is scary, and they might be watching YouTube. I mean, who are some of the influencers to be wary of? I mean, there's like ContraPoints is probably the most famous one. There's one called Jammy Dodger, I think. Yeah. I don't really know too many of them, especially.
Oh, me and Andrew need to have a chat. I could go all day about fucking trans YouTubers. Trust me on that one.
Those that are active now. And I did see,
as he says about those that are active now. One thing to consider is that a lot of these trans channels were big years ago. Someone like Jammy Dodger has over 1 million subscribers, but the views he gets now compared to like 2 to 4 years ago, and in some cases more, they're not shit. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these YouTubers have kind of fallen off.
a couple of them sort of crossed my like timeline or whatever on Twitter or whatever, that definitely tried to call me out at the time, and again that makes them money. Keira Bell's in the news, let me hop on this. And
was it like Monty and stuff? Sorry, I don't know that it was actually her. I shouldn't throw names out there.
Make a diss video.
How does that feel when you see those?
Wait, do you reckon I could find any? Because like plenty of these like leftoid and like trans YouTubers, they love shitting on detransitioners. Who's been talking about Keira Bell? Let's find out. A trans guy's response to I don't know who this is. Another Alex. Does he still post? Oh, I wonder if he's one of them then. Doctor appalled that one person's experience. For me gone, I would imagine he's more supportive. I vaguely know who that is. I know who a lot of these commentary people are. No offense. Let's not stop people from getting help, Lamau. Yes, I'm sure Keira Bell finds this issue very fucking Lamau. You know what? This could be a bonus.
Okay, so this video.
Calm yourself. This could be like a bonus thing, actually. Let's see if a couple of people can show the slightest empathy for a detransitioner. What was the other one? This one. We'll just play this advert quickly. God, Daniel Radcliffe, when he fell on hard times, right? Anyway.
It's just, they say the same thing over and over again. They kind of repeat the same thing.
Oh, hey, Shiloh. I can't see YouTube chat. Well, I can see it, but it's on a separate window, so it's kind of really annoying. But hi, hope you're doing well. Apologies if I'm ignoring people. Oh, hi, Grief Foundation as well. Biological gender. Yeah, there's no biological gender. Gender is gender. What do we call a transgender? I don't think anyone that came up with that first term has thought of any of that, and they probably just expect us to use it properly and not have any questions.
Thing and act as if I don't know all of that. Like I didn't come into this hearing all of the kind of tropes that they say and that sort of thing. So none of it.
Oh, hi, Raiders Cat. Is there anyone else I've missed? Oh no, I think we're good. Yeah, apologies if I'm not seeing many. Oh, Hillary Clinton, hi. Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm not seeing many of you in chat. I'm so sorry. No offense, it'll call you brain damage. Mate, my brain is more damaged than brain at this point. I think I'll be okay.
None of it fazed me. It's just hearing the same old thing, but I'm a big villain apparently.
So in their community, you're a villain because I suppose you're the worst kind of villain. A bit like in a religion, somebody who's turned atheist.
Listen, this sounds self-pitying. I don't really give a fuck. I wonder whether these kinds of trans YouTuber types that these people are talking about now, I wonder whether they hate more detransitioners who are open about their experience and why they're not happy, or actively like still trans people who are speaking out against the ideology anyway. I wonder.
Those are the worst people.
I've been called a traitor. All of that good stuff. So
disgusting. Should never talk about someone that way, especially someone who's had a bad experience. Shouldn't you be empathizing with them, hearing them out, thinking about ways to improve things if things are not going very well? But hey, that's what a adult might think, and a lot of trans people on the internet, irrespective of actual physical age, are not actually adults.
It's I mean, I see that as a badge of honor, to be honest, being a traitor of,
Same, nice. Listen, if that's what I'm a traitor of, I'm fucking glad. Call me a traitor. Call me a fucking pick me, quisling traitor, whatever the fuck. I love that shit.
Such a disgusting ideology that's reaping off of mental illness and disturbed individuals that are trying to find a way out of their mental torment, I guess. And so it's just the same old stuff.
You're a heretic. That's what I think.
Yeah.
An apostate. What is it you call it disgusting? What is so disgusting about the ideology?
Well, like I said, I think it's because they're profiting off of, I suppose that gets into a different realm as far as profiting off of, but I suppose it's the sense of they're all kind of pulling each other down is the way I see it. It's, hey, I feel this way. I feel this way too. Yeah, let's do the worst thing possible.
I know what he means. And I genuinely think many of these TRA types they're better than what they're doing, for sure. It's a shame. Like, to me, honestly, I think the biggest problem I see with this whole ideology thing is just the rampant lies and how they treat people that think differently to them. The fact that this gender ideology, this gender identity ideology kind of stuff, it's like a sacred cow. It's like some of these people are like, they hate religion because religious people, in some cases, are not friendly towards trans people. And now they've made their own religion. But if you don't believe in the religion, you're automatically a terrible person. Whereas religious people, usually nowadays in like Western countries, they can accept that some people are atheists, some people are this, that, and the other. You know, in Western countries. I don't want to speak for anywhere else. But, yeah. So yeah, we've got Finn the Invincible, and we've got Noah Fince, who's going to give me brain damage, so I'm excited. I'm going to do that one first.
Video is going to be a bit of a mess. Pretty much what happened
Oh, he's British.
is that I reacted to this video, I nearly finished editing it, and then I found an article about the person that I'm reacting to, and turns out the story is a lot more sinister than I thought. I'm not going to film another reaction video about this. I'm going to say what I think about it before and after I react it, but you know, I feel like it'll be a bit weird
Gotta poison the well.
if I reacted to it a second time, because like I've already reacted to it. I'll let you watch the video, hopefully it'll make sense to you, but pretty much I thought that this girl transitioned and then she made a mistake, she detransitioned, she was like, oh, it sucks, and she just wanted to tell her story. Turns out, you know, she's trying to sue the NHS. She's trying
He's acting like automatically is the bad thing.
to sue the gender clinic, which is unfair because that will affect thousands of trans people's lives.
Yep. Shouldn't care about that person who got fucked over, because it'll affect other people's lives, I guess. Shouldn't they be doing shit properly? Shouldn't they not be fucking up people's trans care? Shouldn't they be a lot more careful, like the ages of people that they're letting transition? No, just this person's bad. You had a bad thing happen to you. That's fine. You know, you're valid, but also shut the fuck up. Otherwise, we're gonna come for you. That's how it sounds to me.
Just because she made a mistake, it's just completely changed my entire
Just because she made a mistake, wasn't she like 15 or even younger when she decided to transition? Didn't she start hormones at like 16 or something?
outlook on this. I had a bit of a rant just before I show you the reaction, so this whole video, wow.
Like, why show us the rant first? Like, that seems like you're telling people what to think and then playing the video, you know what I mean?
I'll let you see for yourself. Hello, underachievers. Sorry about this. I'm in isolation right now. I can't get a haircut. So, today's video...
Underachievers. Yeah, look at this. Hello, the NHS is good. Let's not stop people from getting help, Lamau. Is this guy like a fucking Hassan fan or something? That sounds Hassan as fuck.
Video idea I stole from Jackson Milo, so if you want to watch his version of this, click the link in the description. So this video is about a detransitioner, and if you don't know what a detransitioner is, it's somebody who detransitions, as in they transition because they think they're trans, and then maybe they realize they're not, maybe they realize it's not the right time, they detransition. So it would be like me, I've already transitioned, it would be like me turning back into a girl. That's, yeah, think of that. Just want to put a disclaimer out there. I don't have an issue with detransitioners, I don't have a single issue with someone detransitioning. I'm actually happy that people detransition because it means that they're more comfortable in themselves. Obviously, if they transition, realize it's not for them, then detransitioning would be like, oh, that was a relief. Like, I'm happy that they're living their authentic lives, I'm not mad at them, because obviously people make mistakes. Not everyone's gonna know everything about themselves. I actually went to the gender clinic a few weeks ago and I talked to the woman that I had an appointment with, and she asked me about detransitioning. She pretty much said that like less than 1% of people that medically transition actually detransition. The media have just blown it up to be some massive thing. But also something really interesting that she said to me was that most people detransition not because they don't think they're trans, but because the people around them aren't supportive and they're not really...
Where where is that coming from? Everyone says this, and like, what's it based on? None of these people really seem to know any detransitioners.
Like, less than 1% of people that medically transition actually detransition. The media have just blown it up to be some
That's not true either.
massive thing. But also something really interesting that she said to me was that most people detransition, not because they don't think they're trans.
Sorry, who's she? Oh, the person you have an appointment with. Yeah, of course of course they're like gonna tell you the truth about all this shit. Of course they're gonna openly talk about the detransition rates with one of their patients. Are you insane? Have you lost your mind? My God. I get that you don't agree with mainstream gender ideology. What do you think? How do you explain things in... So like, I don't know. Gender dysphoria is a thing, in my opinion. I don't know whether it's the starting point or like whether it's a symptom of something else, like maybe trauma or something like that. But to me, I have a compulsion to like feminize myself, and I have for a long time. I've just felt that way. I just am more comfortable wearing more feminine clothing and presenting myself in a more feminine way. So I guess that's what it is. And that doesn't make me a woman. And that doesn't... Maybe it makes you trans. I'm not sure. It depends if you actually transition based on that. But it's kind of just that. I was feminizing myself to the point where it was like people were calling me trans anyway. I don't know. I'm happier like as I am. But it really is because it's a very compulsive thing for me, I guess. It's hard to explain. I'm sorry if that's not an amazing response.
Appointment with, and she asked me about detransitioning. She pretty much said that like less than 1% of people that medically transition actually detransition.
And then he takes it as gospel.
The media have just blown it up to be some massive thing. But also something really interesting that
media, like, is this all it takes to convince this person?
She said to me was that most people detransition not because they don't think they're trans, but because the people around them aren't supportive and they're not really experiencing a healthy environment to transition. So a lot of people don't detransition because they're not trans. They detransition because, you know, maybe it wasn't the right timing. I feel like I kind of went on a rant. I'm gonna watch this video. Here is...
No, you just repeated what someone else said to you that definitely doesn't have any bias or reason to lie whatsoever.
Angry Noah halfway through the edit. Okay, so hello, I'm...
Always regurgitate the same narratives. Yep. It's been a long time. I wish I noticed all this shit sooner, because this is 2020, and the TRAs talk exactly the same way now. So, great.
back. I've just got some more news on this story. I didn't actually...
Oh my god.
We know this because the video didn't mention it, but the person in this video, Keira Bell, is currently trying to sue the NHS for negligence on her treatment. Just reading the article, it says, a 23-year-old woman who is taking legal action against an NHS gender clinic says she should have been challenged more by medical staff over her decision to transition to male as trend. I can't even finish reading that. This completely changes my outlook on this whole thing. I thought I was being maybe a bit judgmental, maybe I was being a bit too harsh on her, but the fact of the matter is, she's trying to sue the NHS.
Oh, so now being judgmental is good because she's suing the people that fucked her up. How so? How are we fucking... How do you justify that one?
The NHS, the National Health Service that so many people need, and so many people...
Yeah. This is like Hassan level dumb. I'm not watching much of this because I don't have to. I do not respect any of this person's opinions. Maybe these days he's smarter, who fucking knows? You can't get a membership on his channel, so I don't know if it still runs. On album. Listen, as a musician, fucking YouTuber music, all that kind of shit fucking sucks. Maybe this doesn't, I don't fucking know, but... Can't hate Keira Bell that much because he hired her on drums. And now I'm overthinking till short second. Order everything on. Not my kind of thing, I'm afraid, sorry.
People need these gender clinics. If I didn't have these gender clinics, I would not be able to transition. And if I wasn't able to transition, I would not...
That doesn't mean someone can't sue them. Like, so what do you do then if something goes wrong? Just, like, suck it up? Like, the trans community's not gonna fucking look out for you. I mean, you thought you were being a bit judgmental, and that was before you even knew all the case. How do you think other fucking people were to her?
I cannot tell you what would happen if I couldn't transition. The NHS is already incredibly underfunded.
Narcissism.
Thank you, Tories, for that. I just think it's really unfair.
I don't really like this never trans in the first place, because that pushes the idea that gender dysphoria is 100% lifelong, but the vast majority of childhood onset dysphoria goes away. Yeah, true. It doesn't make any sense. Like, somehow someone is definitely trans because they're trans, and then as soon as they detransition, they were never trans. And it's like, I'm sure I tried to bring this up. I think it was in my Max conversation, because I was watching that back, my debate with Queer Gossip, because I've started making shorts. You can check out shorts on my channel. There's only one at the moment, but there'll be more. And yeah, I'm sure I tried to bring this up at some point, and I could not get an answer that I was satisfied with.
Fair for her to sue the NHS over
Oh, hi, Rose, as well. I love my transition. Yeah, I'm detransitioning. I've heard of people thinking this is just about dissatisfaction or lack of support. I didn't have support to be a guy, but plenty to be a trans girl. Yeah, I mean, hey, people make all these claims like, why would someone transition unless they really want to? You get all like discriminated against and stuff. It's like, well, you've got access to a whole new like community and stuff. So there's your answer for a lot of people. Not that I'm saying that's for you, but you know, you get what I'm saying. Like, much easier to just ignore it's much easier for like the whole of society to just ignore like another guy, I guess.
over a decision that she also had to make. You have to sign a consent form in order to start treatment,
How old was she?
in order to have testosterone, in order to have top surgery. There are so many hurdles
God, he seems angry at this. Is this something to get angry at?
that you have to go through in
I mean, I can imagine being angry if you were like supportive of this person, but are people? You know what I mean? Whoa. What is going on here? Sorry, hang on. Oh no, maybe that's someone else actually. I'm sure I saw a detransitioner video years ago and I thought that was her because she had a kind of similar look, but yeah, have a look. Recreational HRT, transgender colonialism, wow. He's so dishonest. Yeah. It's the ideology. It's what happens. Ooh, archive of our own. And kinda with glitter on gay opinion. I'm just checking out the channel. My thoughts on this awful situation trans teens in the UK have been put through because of Keira Bell and TERFs. Jesus Christ, this person sounds like a sociopath. No offense. I'm an atheist, but God bless Keira Bell. Keira Bell has done so much damage to trans kids. She will have a lot of blood on her hands from the damage she's done. Why are we blaming her? What the fuck? You know what? I don't care about this guy. He's an idiot. No offense. Sociopaths. Anyway. Oh, hi, LKD as well. How you doing?
Hey everyone, this is Jamie, and today I'll specifically be focusing on one of the biggest issues at hand, which is happening in the UK right now.
Can't quite pin the accent. Any suggestions would be appreciated.
The court ruling of not allowing puberty blockers for trans people which are below 16 years of age, and
Have you liked the stream? You should like the stream.
in general, the whole dispute about hormone blockers and the Keira Bell case. So, I do understand that there are people who start questioning and then they realize that they might not be trans or
Okay, preamble. So we've got, I had the same camo as soldier in the army. Amazing. So we got the preamble, we got the, I understand some people are detransitioners. I respect them. They're valid. But let's see.
or they might realize that their gender expression is a bit different. And I do understand. And of course, even through my own gender experience, I first identified as gender fluid for a year. And then when I saw that I wasn't actually changing from male, I spoke to my partner and we both kind of said, yeah, I'm probably male. And then I proceeded to try and
I'm probably male. I can't tell if this person is FTM or MTF. Hang on, we're doing a bit of transvestigation just quickly. Because sometimes transvestigation is what you gotta do. The trans man there. You realize he's male. I don't know how you realize you're the opposite sex. Okay. Top dysphoria. Okay, yeah, so they're actually female. They're a trans man, which is a female, necessarily. I'm not my polyamory story. Why are so many trans people polyamorous? I couldn't tell you. I'm not in the cult, so trans people being scammed. OnlyFans. Do they have an OnlyFans? I don't know. Is there a market for like short-haired women with beards and like hairy tits on OnlyFans? I'm not sure. Anyway, what was I doing?
And see what felt right for me, because I had a massive social stigma.
How can you like go from gender fluid to trans and then think that you understand detransitioners and then make a video where in the description it says awful situation trans teens in the UK have been put through because of Keira Bell and TERFs?
Because obviously coming from Eastern Europe and being raised by a rather strict mother, I had really bad views on men
To enlarge your dating pool, fair enough.
at the time. And I do have things I regret in the past, so it was very hard for me to accept certain things. And then I understood that my upbringing harmed me much more than I ever expected. And I've also been a victim of a
Imagine being confused about your sex. Hey, lots of people are these days. I have to pretend that I respect people who literally say things like, oh, I've known I was a woman since I was like 4. It's like, fuck off, bro. You have not known you were a woman. You've not known you were female because you were born with a dick and XY chromosomes.
abuse of many.
Like, oh my god, all this trauma dumping, just tell me what you think. Is this every single video? It's like, all this happened to me and this happened to me. It's not that I don't feel bad for this person. But you know what I mean? Like, why? Is this so that people won't be nasty? So that when they're nasty about Keira Bell...
Till I moved out to the UK from Eastern Europe.
Oh, okay, we got excited suddenly.
17. I started hormones. It's going to be 3 years ago in May. So I went until I was 24 without hormones. When I first heard about hormone blockers, I was already trans. I remember that discussion. I had no idea what it was. I was talking to a person on Tumblr, and they said that they don't agree with hormone blockers. Then I went to research what even are hormone blockers. For you to understand, I had no idea what trans people are until I moved out to the UK from Eastern Europe.
And met some trans people, and then suddenly after not a huge amount of time you were also trans? Yeah, that checks out. Listen, I don't know that for sure.
I had been barely any proper. Now I am currently transitioning because I still need to do my.
We're still talking about ourselves. It's almost 10 minutes in.
And all of these questions, there's a bunch of tests which you have to go through. There's a bunch of written data which is kept. There's the life story, where you explicitly write why are you different from other people who are assigned your gender at birth. Abortion in fucking Latin America, which are mostly problems which cis women speak about. So why don't you do yourself a favor and fucking fight for that, for instance, if you are so passionate about women's rights and you feel.
What are you even supposed to say to that? Why don't you fight for something else instead? Why don't you fight for what I think is good? Maybe because they don't have the same fucking thought process as you, bro. Maybe because you don't understand where they're coming from. So of course you think it's ridiculous. That's the same as every other TRA. That's the same as every other woman with short hair and a beard that I see every day.
Oh, jeez. It feels very restraining. It feels very sad. It feels very devastating that I've been yelling this for ages. I have a bunch of videos on this. There are other women issues. There's abortion in Poland, breakdown, because I'm cutting down the family tree. Fertility and giving birth is not, in any way, the reason of living.
For plenty of people it is. Yeah, I was muted, yeah. Oh, hi, Renoa. I'm having issues with chat, so it's even more ratchet than usual. I hope you're good, though.
Every person needs to think of themselves. It's not selfish.
That's the whole ideology, is thinking about yourself and no one else. If Keira Bell didn't do this, there'd be less harm to trans kids or whatever. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's selective empathy. It doesn't work. I know, this video sucks. Jamie Plastic Veins Bible. No offense, but this video sucks. I'm gonna like this comment though. Alright, Finn the Invincible. Let's have a look.
I am just really shocked and appalled that one person
Oh wow, exactly the same fucking opinion as everyone else. I'm amazed. I'm amazed that one person who got fucked over.
person's experience can now have such a dent.
Like, this rewording of one person's experience has had such a detrimental effect. Like, reword it a bit more so that it sounds even worse than it is. Why don't you actually tell the people what happened instead of rewording it in the worst way possible? This is like, we're not even 10 seconds in and this is insane to me. These people do this all the time. You can't just state something honestly. You have to reword it in the most weird way possible. Like, for example, this would be like me saying, oh, the guy that showed off his dick in front of a classroom of teenagers has decided to shit on a detransitioner because he wants kids to transition so that he can do paedophilic things with them. That'd be like me saying that. That's not an honest appraisal of this situation, any more than what he's saying is an honest appraisal of that situation. At least I hope it's not an honest appraisal, because I don't actually want to think that these people are like nonsense and shit. And I have no evidence to think that he is, to be clear. Anyway.
Detrimental impact in changing every single trans person's journey going forward. Hey folks, it's Finn.
Hey folks. Folks is a map dog whistle, did you know? I have no evidence as to why I think so, I just do.
Welcome back folks, lovely to see you. Folks, this week's
Jesus
video
Christ.
is a...
Jesus, stop! Stop! You don't have to say it 3 times in a row. Anyway, let's just get on to the... Cause I don't need to hear a guy poison the well. Like, this guy's old enough to know better. How old is he?
It's really easy. You just hit that big red button below that says subscribe. And if you tick the
Yes, hit the subscribe button for my YouTube. Subscribe to YouTube. You should do that.
notification bell, you'll also be notified when I upload anything new. So, if you haven't heard what's happened, this is a very, very brief synopsis. A young woman called Keira Bell, who is now 23, was living as a man. She identified as transgender and as male. And recently she decided that she wasn't male, that she wasn't transgender, and she decided to detransition. And as a consequence, she is then taking the Tavistock Gender Identity Clinic to court, claiming that they gave her puberty blockers too easily and rushed her through the transition process. This court case was heard this week, and shockingly, the court decided in her favour.
Why is that shocking?
They decided that the outcome of this was that largely any young person under the age of 16 would likely not be able to consent to puberty blockers. NHS England has responded by now saying that any young person who is on the waiting list for endocrinology to get puberty blockers will have their referral paused. Any young person already on blockers will have their medication taken into review in due course. And going forwards, anybody who wants to have puberty blockers will have to go through a court to gain permission from a court in order to be prescribed.
So they were transing way too many people, someone complained about it, and they've taken action.
It's been a pretty devastating week for transgender people.
It's not devastating for me. It wasn't devastating for me when it was fucking December 8th, 2020. When I was stuck at home the whole time. But like, yeah, it's a bad thing for trans people who support transitioning children. I don't support transitioning children. So like, why lump us in, you know what I mean? 16 is very young, yeah. To me, I think 18, and even 18 is young, but there has to be a point somewhere, you know what I mean?
Understandably, this is causing a huge amount.
Oh, the reason I'm muted more often is because I have 3 different windows I'm cycling between, because Restream kicked me out, and then it thinks that I'm not on YouTube right now. So I've got YouTube chat on a different thing entirely. So yeah, I'm trying my best. I do apologize.
Amount of distress for young people, waiting lists to get into a clinic are already hugely long.
This goes back to the idea of puberty being harmful. Yeah, true. We've decided that people can be literally the other sex, born in the wrong sex's body, and thus going through that sex's puberty is harmful, but how can you be born in the wrong body? That doesn't make any sense.
At the moment, with the pandemic happening, that's added extra time to the waiting lists. People's mental health is at risk here, and this really cannot be overstated how devastating a blow this is. Now, I have a number of issues with this case. The way it's been presented in the media is as if going to a gender clinic,
So we're not dealing with facts, really. That's nice.
is as easy as booking a doctor's appointment, which it isn't.
How do you know that wasn't true in her case? How do you know that's not true for like tons of Americans that have been coming out in these like detransition videos, being like, yeah, I was like put straight on the conveyor belt, no questions asked almost. Like, no, that isn't true. Well, something went wrong that Keira Bell has like come to this point. Like, just saying no is not really an answer for that, you know?
It also presents as if puberty blockers are just given out willy-nilly, like Smart is. And it also
I even know he's not showing anything showing that, so I don't even know what to say about this. Issues with the case. You're talking about the media. That's not an issue with the case.
also presents the idea that clinics are actively encouraging young people to decide to transition.
Which, how are we gonna evidence that? I guess it's not at all.
As a transgender person myself, I can vouch for the fact that that does not happen.
Yeah, you're fucking old as shit, bro. No offense. Like, how old was Keira Bell again? How old are you? Like, what the fuck? Yeah, you're trans. You're automatically too close to this. How about that? You can't really comment on this objectively. I can for some reason, but no one else can. How about that?
I have been through this process. It is not a quick process. The waiting lists to even be seen by a clinic are huge. Then when you get to a clinic, there are lots and lots of assessments.
Well, then how old was she when she started the process? Was she potentially way too young to be consenting to something like that? Did she know what was going to happen? Like, this isn't really making it any better, if I'm honest.
Assessments by therapists and clinicians before they'll give you any medical treatment, whether that's cross-sex hormones, puberty blockers, or surgery. There is.
Sorry, I'm just catching up on chat quickly. All the people cheering for child transition at regretful MTFs. I mean, we watched, what was it? We watched some woman that does Lego stuff and Sophie Molly both bemoaning that they couldn't have started transition earlier and that everyone should start as soon as possible without having experienced it themselves. So maybe there's some merit to that, yeah. Literally easier than booking a doctor's appointment. Kids didn't even naturally see a doctor. Smartsies. I don't know. Speech impediment, I'm not sure. I talk like a fucking retard, so I can't really make fun of people too much. They could be referred by their school or self-referred and then see only clinical psychologists on whom Tavistock depended because they're cheaper and more plentiful. I heard a story from a sister who said the psychologist kept pressuring her to medically transition, desisted after 9 years. She was 15 when she started. Yeah, that's what I thought. We put 8 years old on PBs. Jeez, I need to see that, but it wouldn't surprise me. I think 12 is the lowest age I've seen for mastectomies, and yes, you can have gender-affirming surgery under the age of 18. If anyone tells you otherwise, then they are lying.
There's a huge backlog and waiting time, and
This has got nothing to do. What the fuck? Issues with the case, and it's just, oh, the media said this and that. Like,
nobody ever in that process.
my mum has a patient who is 5 years old and socially transitioning. Which never happened pre-2020, pre-2010, and which vastly lowers desistance rates. Yeah, because social transition is just affirmation. constant affirmation in your ears. So yeah, of course it's going to reduce like the desistance. The reason they don't go lower than 12 for mastectomy is enough. Yeah, like that's potentially. Listen, I didn't grow up a girl. I don't know when people grow what. Yeah, cells.
Was telling me that I was transgender. It always felt in that process that it was up to me to prove that I was transgender, never for a therapist to affirm that I was. This is my experience.
Yeah, it's your experience, so who cares?
And this is the experience of every single transgender person that...
No, you're not going to say that. You're not going to say that.
It was up to me to prove that I was transgender, never for a therapist to affirm that I was. This is my experience, and this is the experience of every single transgender person that I know.
Jesus. Oh my god. There's more than one person that has regretted transitioning. Nice. That's amazing. God, the comments are not as terrible as I expected. Puberty blockers at 16 is completely pointless. Yeah, it would be. I don't know what the fuck this guy is saying. This is like cracked out as fuck. Well, I didn't experience that. Never mind the fact that I'm fucking ancient and this person is a child who shouldn't have transitioned. Like, really, really...
So how on earth did Keira Bell get so far into her transition before realising that she wasn't transgender? That is a very, very...
Well, she was probably affirmed for fucking years. Maybe the testosterone helped, especially initially when you get that kind of get up and go that you didn't have before. He's not going to say any of those, though, I'm imagining, because those would suggest there's problems with the system, and these people doggedly fucking defend the system, so...
Very good question. Now, let's look at what happened with Keira Bell, because this case has been talked about in terms of puberty blockers, but actually it isn't just about puberty blockers. Keira Bell not only had puberty blockers, she went on to have cross-sex hormones, testosterone, and then she went on to have top surgery.
I just wanna, listen, I would respect this guy so much more if we just got something to suggest that she went through all this stuff that shouldn't have happened, and that maybe some changes are needed. But all people can do is like, yeah, it's bad that people have to detransition, but like it shouldn't affect other people. And then it's like, well, the detransitioner just has to go fuck themselves, surely.
And now let's guide you through what would have happened for Keira Bell. She would have had a period of time where she thought she was transgender, likely coming out as male. She would have
realizing she wasn't transgender, because it's a decision and it's not necessarily always one you won't regret. True.
had to get a referral to a gender identity clinic because she was under the age of 16. That would have been the Tavistock. That would have taken time. So in that time, just in the time it takes to be referred, she would have had a period of time, perhaps living as male, experimenting, seeing how that felt. Then when she got to...
Well, I don't know if the implication is she should have figured it out during that time living as male, but, you know, you're changing as you grow. Your experiences shape who you are as a person. You know... But let's see. I might be being a bit paranoid, but, you know, when you start off with a very, very common opinion for someone of your particular persuasion, I'm going to be cynical. It's just how it is. I wish people would understand that more when they watch my stuff, instead of just assuming I must be mean because I'm saying things about people that they might not like, were they to hear them, even though I don't think I'm being rude. I think I'm being honest and realistic.
The Tavistock, she would have had meetings with therapists and clinicians to assess if she was really transgender and if identifying as male and going through transition was right for her. And
as if identifying as something was right for her, so it's a choice. So just say you think that it's a choice, because that's you're identifying as something. That's an action. That's something you do. So it's a choice. It's something you're coming up with, surely.
the first port of call with that would be hormone blockers, because nobody wants to do anything for a young person that's not reversible. So she would
puberty blockers aren't always reversible. This was 3 years ago. I'm pretty sure the totally irreversible line was flying around all the time. Literally, the place that was local to me before it shut, they were pushing that lie constantly. Made me very suspicious because I'm like, oh, we've got this new treatment and it's just completely perfect in every way. Okay. I wish I'd said more at the time because these lies just keep on stacking up and there's so many more of them now.
Would have been given hormone blockers to pause her puberty so that she didn't go through the distress of her body changing. Then, after a period of
sort of just what you have to deal with regardless, my guy. I'm sorry about it. You look like you should be old enough to understand that, but sure.
time in realising that that was right for her, she then went on to be prescribed cross-sex hormones, which is testosterone. To get this, she would have had to have gone through more assessments again. Then, the process of testosterone puts you through a puberty. Now, the changes on testosterone are pretty profound, but they don't happen overnight. The biggest profound changes happen in the first year and then continue happening for a few years after that. So think about it. Keira Bell has had hormone blockers. She's been identifying as male. She started testosterone. On testosterone, her voice would have broken. She'll have a male voice. Her body shape will have changed to a more male shape. She will have grown hair on her body and on her face. And in none of that did she ever stop and think, this isn't me. Now,
Well, yeah, imagine you're being like... Imagine you're one of those people, but you're going through the transition anyway, and people are like affirming you, and, you know, you've got all this advice coming from these counselors that you're dealing with. There's probably a heck of a lot of confirmation bias being developed that you are on the right path, and it's probably quite difficult to break that. And besides anything else, going through the changes isn't enough. Sometimes it takes a few years for someone to realize what they've taken for granted and what they've now lost because they went through this thing. This person lacks empathy, in my opinion. Just because the official way of doing things didn't provide her an out, that doesn't make it her fault. I'm sorry.
now looking at my own journey, when I came out, the little things that...
Okay, narcissism.
So how on earth did she get as far as she did before realising that it wasn't right for her? Well,
Listen, no offense, but how old is this person? Do I really want to hear this person's, like, what's the word? Do I want to hear their journey when I'm considering why a 15-year-old was being transitioned? Like, no, not really. I'm sorry. I don't know how long ago you transitioned. I'm sure it went great for you, but, you know, you shouldn't be speaking for all trans people any more than you saying that Keira Bell does.
well, that is a question that only Keira Bell can answer, and she has answered it in saying that she just was pushed through and set on a course that she didn't feel she could stop.
Are we going to believe her experience, or because she's a bad person, according to you, and not, I guess? I don't know. People don't believe my experiences almost ever, so it's like, I almost don't give a fuck, to be honest.
I have my
Has he ever heard of the term brainwashing? Definitely not. Actually, no, he probably has, and probably uses it all the time on, like, so-called TERFs and shit, when in actual fact he should be looking at what's going on at home, rather than outside, if you get me. Oh. Why should we block access to gender-affirming care? Well, we might want to block it for kids because they potentially can't consent. They potentially will have irreversible things done to their body that later in their life they will then, reject, decide they're not very happy with. You know what I mean? I don't want to block it for adults, to be honest. Adults can consent. Adults should be free to transition. I just don't think kids should. So tone deaf when it comes to kids every time they see, nope, doesn't matter anyway, it's their choice, now they have to live with it. Yeah, it's weird.
my own opinions, and this is my own opinion. It must have been that back when she started, Keira was convinced that she was transgender and that she was convinced she was male. And
Yeah, that's how it is. I was fucking convinced I was convinced that I was female. I'm not female. None of my body, nothing about me is female, other than looks-wise. Like, if you took all my stuff off, yeah, you'd see a vagina. If you took my top off, yeah, you'd see tits. I've got long hair. Most of my facial hair is gone. Like, that's not being a female, but I was still convinced I was. I called myself a woman for a long fucking time.
and that because she was convinced, she was convincing to the people assessing her. And then later
Keira is a liar. Heathen Granny 666. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Is my Discord thing up to date? If you want to come in here and like talk to me, you can, but you're just kind of shit talking someone who we're watching a video about. I don't really need that. It's not helpful.
Down the line, for some reason, she began questioning this and realised she was female and not transgender. And then rather than taking responsibility, she instead chose to blame the Tavistock.
What are you on, my guy?
Because she was convincing to the people assessing her.
Well, yeah, obviously, and that's a fucking problem with the system, because people are convinced, whether it's through their friends, whether it's through what the fuck ever, like the internet, you know, these people that meet trans people and magically, oh, that now they're trans too, oh, okay, right. OFFS. If you want to come in, then click the Discord, you can join, you can send me a message, whatever you want. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. You're saying someone's a liar with, like, no evidence. Like, what am I supposed to say?
And then later down the line, for some reason, she began questioning this and realised she was female and not transgender. And then rather than taking responsibility, she instead...
I'm sorry, I keep skipping back.
She was female and not... And later down the line, for some reason, she began questioning this and realised she was female.
Like, this is bizarre. It's like her responsibility suddenly, but it's everyone else's responsibility to like wipe trans people's asses or something. Like, this is bizarre. If you detransition, it's like, fuck you. That's what these people seem to think. That's what it comes across to me as.
And not transgender. And then rather than taking responsibility, she instead chose to blame.
Taking responsibility for what? She was a child. Do you understand that? Do you know what a child is? Jesus Christ, has it been that long? Bearing in mind the colour of your hair, that you have forgotten what being a child is, and that you weren't always this amazingly self-reflective and know literally everything about yourself, apparently, except your sex, probably.
The Tavistock. Now, I absolutely agree that there needs to be an inquiry as to how Keira managed to convince people she was trans.
What? There needs to be an inquiry into Keira herself? Like, what?
How Keira managed to get so far in her transition before she realised.
It's obvious why. Oh my god. These people will never smell their own shit. It's so obvious why. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. Oh my god. Okay, Heathen Granny has stopped talking. I don't care in that case. If you keep shit talking, I'll just time you out, so it's fine. What am I supposed to say to this? Is cooked. What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
There absolutely needs to be an inquiry into this. But to then listen to her case and decide that all transgender people's pathways have to be changed because...
I'm gonna hit the fucking roof. Did they change anything about adult... What were the outcomes of the Keira Bell case? Yeah, it was puberty blocking treatment. Because it was just about, but it's like all trans people, like you can't even get that right. It's like if you can't get the basics right, what are you doing talking about anything else? Like, fuck me. You think when you see someone a bit older, you think you might see some maturity or like empathy or something, but it just doesn't seem to be the case.
Of her makes no logical sense. Now I know that the...
Why does it make no logical sense?
But to then listen to her case and decide that all transgender people's
Oh, it makes no logical sense because it's a fucking lie, fair enough.
Pathways have to be changed because of her makes no logical sense. Now,
also, it kind of does make sense because they don't want more people to end up like her. Like, again, is this not obvious? Is it not obvious to see the other side? At least present the other side, even if you disagree, and explain why? Wouldn't that be better than whatever the fuck he's doing here? What else have we got? The issue of puberty blockers, side effects, backlash, body autonomy. Children can't consent to tattoos. Why the fuck are we letting them transition?
Now I know that the anti-trans lobby would have people believe there are lots...
Who's the anti-trans lobby?
Lots of people detransitioning. There aren't. There are a small number of people that get into their...
Okay, don't answer, thanks.
...transition and then for some reason or another realise it isn't right for them and then decide to detransition. But they are
realize it's not right for them when, like, they've already gone through a bunch of, like, irreversible things. That's the problem. People shouldn't be making these decisions with their lives at that age. That's where I see the problem.
Few in number compared to the vast amount of people like myself who go on.
He's just lying. This is the detransition number.
But they are few in number, and for some reason or another realize it isn't right for them.
Few in numbers. How few? This is what they all do. There's not very many of them. Sweep them under the rug. There you go. You detransitioned. Well, you're valid, but also don't make a stink about it. Don't talk about it ever. Otherwise, fuck you. That's what these people sound like to me.
Them and then decide to detransition, but they are few in number compared to the vast amount of people like myself who go on to.
God, he's so, like, emotionally invested in this. Like, you need to separate, like, this shit from who you are and what you see yourself as a trans person because of this. You have to. Like, oh my God. I thought, again, you think the narcissism will be less if you watch someone that's a bit older, but it's really not like that.
To fully transition and live happy, healthy, wholesome lives.
Is that what happens? How do you know? Where are you getting this information from? This is like Surus, just fucking say a bunch of stuff that's contradictory. Job well done. There we go.
And then we have the issue with puberty blockers and the way they were presented.
Okay, so he just spews a random opinion as if it's fact and then moves on. Great. Amazing content, Finn the Invincible.
In court. Now, the court presented puberty blockers as a dangerous experiment on trans people. And when people talk about puberty blockers, a lot of the truth gets left out. Yes, the use of puberty blockers.
And the truth is going to be 100% affirming and they're all amazing and blah, blah, blah. Let's see.
Is for transgender people is relatively new. However,
true.
Puberty blockers themselves are not new. They've been used for lots of time on lots of people who go through early puberty.
Weren't they, wasn't it a prostate cancer thing before that? I'm sure one of them was a prostate cancer drug. I don't know. They never mentioned that one. It's always precocious puberty, probably because precocious puberty sounds like it has a lot more to do with blocking a trans person's puberty than prostate cancer.
The use of them in trans people is for a different reason. It is to pause puberty.
It's for a different reason. Oh my God, someone gets it. Amazing. Listen, I've shat talk Finn the Invincible a whole lot, but it is a different thing. Thank you. Someone's fucking said it.
By pausing puberty, you prevent.
You worry about my blood pressure. Listen, I've been an angry person my whole life. It's fine. The last time I had my blood pressure checked, it was perfectly normal. So I'm assuming I can get a bit riled up occasionally and it's fine. But thanks for your concern, Cameron. I love you.
Prevent trans people going through the wrong puberty for them that causes distress. And
if you like the stream, you can also go on Streamlabs, super chat, donate. You can buy some music. I make music. I've got loads of it on the internet. And you can join my Discord and talk to me there and come on if you have a problem instead of just shitting on me in chat.
And also give some space and time to work out if transition is right for them before moving forward. Puberty blockers are a
classic. Yep. They always give people time, but somehow the time isn't enough. It takes them till they're older to start realizing that this wasn't right for them. Does it mean that potentially we should think about not letting them transition that young? No, of course not. It has to be something else.
Really, really powerful, helpful tool for trans people. Sharing my own experience here.
Again.
For a moment. In the time I grew up, in the 80s and 90s, there was no information about trans people. There was no support, there was no education, there was no interventional treatment. And I suffered because of that. I didn't know why I felt the way I did. I lived a very unhappy life. Gender dysphoria is absolutely life-limiting. When it's left untreated, it causes severe mental health problems. 41% of trans people attempt their own lives.
I don't know what the number is nowadays, but you have to remember, is this all because they can't get hold of the care they need? I don't think so at all. I think there's a lot of reasons, and you can't just blame it on things like transphobia, unaccepting family, things like that, because it's just not that simple. It's easy to find the things that sound more flattering, but the truth is there's going to be people who went through their transition and realized that they're not happy. For someone like me, I hit a massive wall like the last few years because I realized that feminizing myself the way I am is only going to go so far, and I'm only going to look so much like a woman and come across so much like a woman, and that pinning all my hopes on that shit was crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I can't, you know, I can only delude myself so far, and then it starts to actually make me feel worse. And that's why I'm so much more open about the fact that I was born male and I am a male person. And accepting myself for who I am has actually been a big help, because I know who I actually am, you know what I mean? And sometimes there's a bit of Occam's razor in play, okay? Sometimes it's the most obvious thing. You're born male because that's what you are. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know what I mean?
That's how severe this is. So puberty blockers are great in pausing that puberty, alleviating that distress, and giving young people the space to work out who they are. And
alleviating that distress. Didn't studies find like basically no change in people's mental health and functioning and stuff?
They're completely reversible. So
completely reversible. There we go. There it is. We got one. It's not true. It's not true.
If after a period of exploration, the young person realises that it isn't their gender that's the issue, they simply stop taking the blockers, and they will then have a late onset puberty.
Is that going to be perfectly normal? Is there going to be any problems with that? Are they going to potentially not grow properly down there because of it, or have weak bones because of it? There's things that can happen.
Yes, of course, there's some problems with that, but
there's some problems, then they're not fully reversible, are they? Oh my god. How? No, I know how. I know how everyone's so fucking stupid on this subject. It's because there's people out there with a vested interest in making us as stupid as possible on this subject. And people like this are all too happy to take that doctrine and fucking scream it from their pulpit, that being the space in front of their webcam.
But when you compare the two, going through a puberty that could bring on worse mental health and distress, or a late puberty, the late puberty is definitely more favourable. But what about the side effects?
Definitely. So we can prescribe that for someone, I guess. We can just say that, oh, well, that's definitely preferable for you if you're trans. Like, is it? Listen, I went through male puberty. It's not a fucking death sentence. You can still live your life. You can still be happy. And if your problem is that you can't pass as well as you want to be able to, you know, maybe you've got to think about what else is a problem in your life. You know what I mean? You got to think about how realistic this is. You should probably think about how realistic it is before you start transitioning, but that's going to be extremely difficult to do if you're a fucking child now, isn't it? So it's really difficult, and there's a lot of problems, but it's so easy to just gloss over them, and it's so easy to say all the fucking cliches that we still spout today, even though most of them aren't true. The whole puberty blockers are reversible thing has been debunked. Like, it's mad.
Effects. Well, yes, with any medication, there is the possibility of having a side effect from that
then they're not fully reversible.
Medication. But this is always true.
Heathen Granny, you haven't joined my Discord yet. Why is that? If you wanna argue about something, then just come on here and do it. Like, I can't really be asked talking to my chat in this way, you know what I mean? Seems like people like this are always forgetting that children don't understand adulthood and therefore can't pick an adult role. I agree with you, yeah, absolutely. Male puberty isn't a death sentence. Yeah, I know, right? I don't know. I've talked to someone. For me, dysphoria is bad, especially with body hair, because I'm a colonized breed. What's a colonized breed? I'm sorry, I don't know if it's like a language thing. Oh, it's a bad thing. Listen, I don't speak TRA. You're gonna have to put it in normal words.
In any medical intervention, whether that's medication, surgery, or anything else, there is always the risk.
Like, dysphoria sucks, I'm not gonna lie, but is transitioning even that good a solution most of the time? I still get dysphoria. I don't think I look that great myself. But at a certain point, you gotta get used to what you are, you know what I mean? You can't just delude yourself and assume it'll be okay so long as you never open the Pandora's box. Well, I mean, if you're a male, then you're gonna have to open it at some point, I'm sorry.
Of side effects, complications, and so on. But let's remember.
I wonder how many kids, actually, there's kids stuff in the background. He might actually have kids, which is even worse somehow. Usually these people don't have kids, and they'll be gung-ho as fuck about other people's kids. But this one might be an exception, to be completely fair. I'm not trying to lie about anyone, you know?
Remember for a moment that being transgender, having gender dysphoria, is not a fad, it's not a choice, it's not a phase.
It's not a choice. But you just choose to take on an identity nowadays. That's literally all you do. It's literally a choice now. I'm part Native American, part Spanish. Explains why I'm hairy and have an Adam's apple. Well, an Adam's apple is something you get if you're male, no? I mean, I'm white and I have an Adam's apple.
It's a medical issue. And so, because it's a medical issue, it needs medical intervention. The use of puberty blockers is medical intervention for gender dysphoria. When we go through any medical treatment, we weigh up the quality of life versus those side effects. And if the quality of life is far greater...
Be honest, and understand this if you're trans. You're rolling the dice again. Like, the first time you roll a dice, it goes all the way up to 6. Then when you're trans, you roll another one, and it only goes all the way up to 4. And for a lot of us, like, life kind of sucked beforehand, so that's what fucking happens. I need a tracheal shave on the NHS. To be honest, can you even see it? Like, I think it comes up, like, quite high, so it mostly just kind of blends into my neck. I could be wrong. Listen, if I have a massive Adam's apple sticking out, then please let me know.
Than the side effects, then of course you're going to choose the medical intervention, which in this case is puberty blockers, and then if people go on, it's cross-sex hormones and surgery. Now, it is really hard not...
Like, that's just how it is. Like, that's not a not a reason to do it. You're just explaining what it is, you know?
...to be incensely angry with Keira Bell for the effect she has had on young people's lives, and I'm...
Hang
on, it's cross-sex hormones and surgery. Now, it is really hard not to be incensely angry.
Well, not if you're a decent human being, it's not.
With Keira Bell for the effect she...
Why not be angry at the fucking Tavistock clinic? Jesus fucking Christ. Why not think in your brain whether this is really appropriate for fucking kids to be doing?
...has had on young people's lives.
By the way, has this person ever met Keira Bell or any of the other ones that we've watched? No, of course they fucking haven't. None of them were there for the ride with her, so I don't know. What the fuck do you want?
And I'm seeing the backlash of this. My inbox is full. My social media feed is full of distress, confusion, panic.
Yes, because people scaremonger. If we stop scaremongering and... I don't know. Why are so many young people getting fucking dragged into this shit anyway?
From young people and their parents. It cannot be overstated, really, how detrimental this is. I've already said 41% of young trans people attempt suicide.
This is a guilt trip. I want to do body autonomy and then I want to move on because I'm getting irritated by this Charlie Brooker lookalike.
And there is even more bias. I have trouble with the ruling that young people who are transgender are not able to have body autonomy.
So young people under 18 in the UK, you can't drink, possibly with a meal you can, but generally you can't drink, you can't smoke, can't get tattoos, you can't drive a car until you're 17. Is that enough? Do we need more? There's lots of stuff kids can't do that they can. Injured, post a picture of my community post of me. I don't know what you mean, I'm so sorry. Because it would be admitting they're wrong on at least some points from the get-go. Yeah, spread it like it was the gospel. Yeah, I get you. Bodily autonomy is good. Okay, so why can't children drink alcohol? Why can't a young person at the age of 14 go into a tattoo shop and buy a tattoo and get this done? By the way, smoking when you take HRT gives you a much higher risk of blood clots. Smoking is not good for you. You shouldn't be smoking at the age of 11. You probably would have grown more inches if you hadn't. But I don't know that, to be fair.
Now, at the moment, any young person under the age of 16 has something called Gillick competence, which was created in the 80s to give young people autonomy over their bodies. So without their parental consent, they could access contraception, the pill, and abortion, for example.
But not tattoos? But not alcohol?
And with this ruling, it is almost as if the court is saying that young people can achieve Gillick competence and have body autonomy unless they're transgender. And
what if they're an alcoholic? That's a condition. Do they have Gillick competence for alcoholism?
exploring the issue of body autonomy even further, let's look, for example, how under 16s can have body autonomy and choose to have an abortion without their parents' consent. What about cases where people have gone on to regret...
Well, the abortion thing, I mean, they've got a fucking baby growing inside them. Like, teenage pregnancy is an issue. What's the issue apart from gender dysphoria, which you're getting someone's word on that? That's all you can go on.
An abortion, or to have side effects and complications for that abortion. Yes, there's been inquiries into
This is not comparable. Is this all he's got? Like, almost at the end of this fucking segment. Mate, why can't kids get tattoos? Why should they be able to not get tattoos, but be able to have their breasts cut off, be able to take testosterone, which does enormous shit to your body, very damaging if you were then to go on in your life and decide that this is not what you want. You know what I mean? And the more like ridiculous we've made it and being like, oh no, you're a woman in a man's body, you're a man in a woman's body, you're going through the wrong puberty, that's detrimental to you. Like, the worse these complexes and people are gonna get, they're gonna panic more when they feel this dysphoria. And if they come out of it again, they're gonna deal with the fucking effects of having like panicked over this shit. You know what I mean? Like, all of these kind of people serve to make this shit worse, in my opinion.
those, but they didn't stop abortions for everyone under the age of 16. So why?
Why are you talking about abortions? This is about trans.
When one trans person regrets their transition, does the court then decide to change the transition process for every single trans person going forward?
Because it's experimental, because you're not necessarily even fixing an issue. And if you are fixing an issue, you're attempting to fix not even the correct issue, because where does gender dysphoria come from? We don't know. Why are we doing transitions on kids when we don't understand these kind of things? I don't fucking know. Why are we doing it in the first place? That's what I want to know. Fuck me, this is cooked. This is just like more cult shit. This guy's a zombie to me. Why are all trans... Not all trans people. Plenty of trans people are cool. There's plenty of them that are not like this at all. Why are some trans people just complete zombies? I could listen to this from anyone who's got the same opinions as him. You know what I mean? Projection is fun even in chat. The sad thing is, none of this chat's going to appear on my screen, I don't think, because OBS kind of shat itself. I can try and connect. I can try and connect YouTube again. Ooh. Learning more about AGP. Why is that linked? Oh, I don't fucking know. What's going on? What's going on? I don't know.
A lot to think about. For me, this case is mixed up in a lot of misinformation, misrepresentation,
What misinformation?
and
Misrepresentation which affected the outcome. How?
discrimination of transgender people and transgender.
Not discrimination. The fact that people are letting people transition at a young age is arguably way more than we should have been allowed to have, quite frankly. And I'm not for it anyway. I don't want to trans kids. I don't think it's appropriate. I don't think it's right.
Lives and transgender medical treatment. And I'm really hoping that this appeal will get allowed so that all of this can come to light.
Well, the cast review happened, so what came to light is that, yeah, there's been a lot of problems with trans clinics over the years, and there's going to be another review because the adult clinics wouldn't hand over any information, so it's going to get even worse. And this is partly your fault because you lied to people. Anyway,